Jesse Walsh is one of the best characters in the entire Nightmare on Elm Street franchise, played by the amazing Mark Patton, who even has his own documented movie titled Scream Queen, My Nightmare on Elm Street, because he is notoriously known for his screaming in A Nightmare on Elm Street 2, Freddy's Revenge, which is actually the only movie that Jesse Walsh appears in. And he even survived that movie too, but what happened to him after Freddy's Revenge? I figured for today's video, why don't we come up with some theories on what could have potentially happened to this character after surviving part 2. Feel free to come up with your own theories about this character in the comments below. But anyways, let's get into it. Is it true that he actually survived after Freddy's Revenge? Like, did Freddy just leave him alone so that Freddy can move on to some newer victims like the Dream Warriors and all of his future victims in the films after part 2? Well, not necessarily, because in part 3, Dream Warriors, there's this doctor, I don't know what's his name, but he talks with Nancy about how they lost a kid about a month ago to Fairview. Not exactly sure where he got the razors, but he cut off his own eyelids to stay awake. The reason why I said he and his like that, it's because the kid that the doctor was referring to, he was a boy. And let's think back to A Nightmare on Elm Street 2, Freddy's Revenge. In that movie, Freddy had no intention of killing Jesse because he needed him. He needed to use him. He needed to possess his body so that he can live in the real world, which for some reason that idea was never brought up again after part 2. That was an amazing idea for the franchise, and it almost worked because he failed at the end of the movie, simply by having Lisa kissing him, bringing back Jesse. After that, everything seemed like it was back to normal. Jesse was feeling better. He didn't have any more nightmares until he got on the school bus with Lisa. And in that final scene, we got one last scare from Freddy, and he got one last victim in that movie. Jesse and Lisa's friend, Carrie, I believe. I don't remember. And after that, the school bus drives into a desert, and that's how the movie ends. So, did he survive after Freddy's Revenge? Well, if the kid that the doctor was referring to was Jesse, because he was a boy, and no, wait. Before we get into that, let's think about this. The only male who actually knows about Freddy before Dream Warriors was Jesse. Because just think about it. In part 1, most of the male characters died. The only male character who survived was Donald Thompson, aka Nancy's father. But he was an adult. We're talking about a kid here. And in part 2, Jesse was the only male character who survived, who was a kid, a teenager, you know? Sure, there were other male survivors too, like Jesse's dad, Lisa's dad, and a bunch of high school boys at that pool party, but the only difference is that they don't know Freddy. They only saw him one time, but they don't know his name. Only Jesse knows his name, because he's encountered him more than once in his dreams, and he found the journal that was written by Nancy in his house when he moved into the iconic Elm Street house. Him and Lisa used that journal for advice because Nancy wrote in that journal warning him about Freddy Krueger and even giving him advice on how to beat him. Ever since they found the journal in that scene, they have been using that journal ever since. And it came in very handy. It came in handy. So, the only male kid character who knows about Freddy is Jesse. So, how come the kid who cut off his own eyelids wasn't Jesse? It has to be him. But, okay, now we're going to get back into this topic. If the doctor was talking about Jesse, what was he doing at Fairview? Well, if we look up that mental asylum, it says here that the term Fairview Asylum likely refers to Fairfield Hills Hospital, a former psychiatric hospital located in Newtown, Connecticut. It operated under the name from 1931 to 1995. Prior to 1963, it was known as Fairfield State Hospital. The facility was designed to treat individuals with severe mental disorders. So, what was Jesse doing at this hospital if this was for the criminally insane? Well, here's my theory. After surviving part 2, Jesse kept on having more nightmares ever since Carrie died at the end of that movie. And in fact, he keeps on having nightmares every night, and it gets to the point where his parents think that he needs help, but Jesse refuses because he keeps trying to convince them that it was Freddy, but they don't believe him. And his parents have had enough with his nonsense. So they've made the hard choice but to send him to Fairfield Asylum. And while he was over there, nothing that they did helped. His mental health, his mental disorders kept on getting worse. No matter what they did, what they provided him. They provided him with medicine, but nothing worked. And Jesse comes to the hard conclusion to cut off his own eyelids so that he can stay awake. At first, this was working, but it won't work for long, and eventually he passed away. Surely this is what the doctor was telling Nancy in Dream Warriors. It has to be. Now, we all know what could have potentially happened to Jesse after part 2, but there's one more character we need to discuss about this theory, and that is whatever happened to Jesse's girlfriend, Lisa Weber. Well, I can accommodate a theory for her, and what I've come up should be very interesting, so here we go. After Carrie's death, maybe she also tried to help Jesse avoid going to Fairview Hospital because of the nightmares he kept on getting, but no one believed the two. So I wouldn't say that Lisa went to Fairview because that is a bit of a stretch, but y'all can say that in your own theories if y'all want to. But I personally think that she didn't and that she stayed at home. But after Jesse was sent to Fairview, Lisa was very upset about Jesse moving to that asylum. She might have visited him a few times over there too to check up on him. Who knows? But I can definitely say that and see that happening too in this theory. So we're just going to stick with that. So Jessie, she does visit, I mean, Lisa, she does visit Jessie at Fairview, but eventually she would get the worst news of her life, that being that Jessie, her boyfriend, passed away. She would be very devastated, along with Jessie's family, Lisa's family, and everyone else that Jessie knows and loves. They would all be devastated, but Lisa would be the most devastated of them all. And if y'all really want to push it, maybe she died too as well, but I personally wouldn't go that far, honestly. Instead, I would say that she tries to move on and live a normal life, but she just can't stop thinking about her boyfriend's death and Freddy, because Freddy was the reason that Jessie ended up cutting off his own eyelids and ultimately dying. So, not only that she's going through hard times dealing with her boyfriend's death, but also the trauma that Freddy left behind. Maybe she even takes some medications too to try to help her, but it just isn't working. It's always going to be very tough on her, but I don't think that she is okay. So, there you have it. This is what I think on what could have potentially happened to Jessie Walsh and Lisa Weber after surviving A Nightmare on Elm Street 2 Freddy's Revenge. I personally do think that Jessie did die after part 2, but I do think that Lisa did survive. It's just that she isn't doing so well. But let me know what y'all think. Let me know what y'all theories are in the comments below. And while y'all are doing that, make sure to drop a like on this video and subscribe to my channel. And follow me on my socials. The links will all be down in the description. And I'll see you guys in the next video.